Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems and welcome back to Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 4, where today I'm going to be previewing my thoughts on the 2022 Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship kicking off this weekend on January 8th at Angel Stadium, I should say, in Anaheim, California. Very, very excited to get racing back underway. Personally, I'm very excited because I'm going to be going this weekend to the race, obviously working for Racer X again. So, just having a real good kind of week already, I feel like, and it's only been a day. So very excited about the season coming up, and I'm going to preview some of my thoughts on the whole season. I will be bringing these videos back this year. I know a lot of people have been asking when I'm going to do more review videos or preview videos or what have you. So yes, my plan is for sure to bring them back a little bit more this year. So yeah, let's just kind of get right into it. First of all, this is a replica of Anaheim 1 2022 that I'm playing on Monster Energy Supercross 4 on the PC. Already did a video talking about this track and detailing it, so I'm not going to go over it again. But if you guys want to try it for yourself, I believe it's called SYS A1 2022 or something like that, so just be sure to search it. Anyway, let's get into the season. This is going to be, I think, kind of like a pretty crazy season. For some reason, it feels a little bit like less stacked overall. I don't know why. I don't know if, I don't know. It just seems like once you get down to like 15th place this year, it's not as gnarly as it used to be. Like, I feel like 15th place used to be like, oh my God, there's like a former Supercross champion in 15th. But it doesn't quite feel that level this year. I still feel, though, that the top end of this class and this series coming into the season is some of the best that we've ever had it, and we're, I think, setting ourselves up for a situation where we're going to have like a meeting of the young and the old, if you will, I guess, at this point. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be like this year that the changing of the guard is going to happen, but I do think the changing of the guard is coming soon. So yeah, let's just start talking about it. First off, let's talk about Cooper Webb, defending Supercross champion. He's going to be on the number 1. He's going to be on his new 2022 Factory Edition 450 SXF. And I think he's going to be pretty darn hard to beat this year, judging by what I saw in Supercross last year out of Webb. Everything that he was kind of carrying with him in terms of momentum and speed and fitness and all that stuff. Yes, it didn't translate into outdoors, but we saw the second he made a little frame change that he wanted to do all season long, he was suddenly battling right up front again, and he didn't win an outdoor race last year. But I think that, Supercross, he's just a different beast. He's a different guy, and he's a better guy. So judging off of his situation with the new bike, how good he looked last year, I personally can't pick anybody other than Webb to win the title this year, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, look at how good Francis was, or look at how good Tomac's going to be on the new Yamaha and stuff like that, and I get it. But look at how good Osborne was outdoors in 2020, and that didn't matter. It didn't matter at all once we got into the season. So I think you're going to see pretty much the same players that we saw up front last year, but I do think that Webb is going to establish himself a little bit earlier in the season this year. I don't know why. I just have a hunch that things are going to come together a little bit faster with him and that bike. Whereas last year, it seemed like it took him a little while to get going. I don't think he actually won a race until, well, he won Houston 3, which was round 3 of the championship, but that one was like a really weird one with the Roxon thing and the Dean Wilson flagger incident. And then Webb didn't win a race until round 7 after that. So if you give Roxon that opening round win, Webb doesn't even win a race until about the midway point of the season last year. It's kind of his mantra. And I talked to him about it in the offseason and was like, are you trying to fix that? Are you trying to make it so you come out of the gates firing? And he absolutely said it is something that he hopes to work on in 2022. So I would not be surprised at all to see Webb get an early win this year, like maybe round 2 when we go up to Oakland. Like, he gets up in there and gets a good start and kind of runs away with it. And then I think he kind of just kind of manages the championship a little bit from there. I do think, however, though, that the normally slow start that we see out of Tomac is going to maybe invert a little bit this year. I think he's going to start strong and fade, and it's just because I think that's something that is starting to happen a little bit more with Tomac. Like, it seems like, with age, he's just kind of not got the same intensity throughout a season anymore. And I can just point to the national championship this past year that kind of highlighted that. And he only won 2 Supercross races last year as well, so he's obviously had a little bit more trouble getting the consistent raw speed out of him that he used to have. But I do think he's going to start strong. I think he, Kenny, and Webb are going to come out of the gates and prove to this young generation that everybody's talking about why they are the current generation, why they are the ones that everybody looks at as the three guys, more or less, in Supercross at the moment. Yes, Sexton and Cianciarulo and Ferrandis and all these other guys are coming, and they're going to get there. And my personal belief is that this is actually going to be Webb's third and final championship in at least Supercross of his career, because I do think that next wave is going to be like just here before we know it. And the changing of the guard is something that it always happens. When Reed and Stu were dominating everything, no one would have expected the Ryans would win 8 straight, but they did. And then, when McGrath was winning 7 Supercross titles in 8 years, we knew that the changing of the guard was coming, and it probably would be Ricky Carmichael to dethrone him. But when was it going to happen? Was 2001 really going to be the year? Would McGrath figure it out, or would Carmichael win 14 of the 16 rounds, which ended up happening? So the changing of the guard is going to happen, I think, before we realize it. I just think that this year Webb is still just good enough to beat whoever is going to establish themselves from that group. I personally think of those 3 or 4 riders in that mix outside of the Kenny, Coop, and Eli group, I think Sexton's going to be the one that figures it out first. I think Cianciarulo, he just announced today that he had a shoulder injury that he's coming off of, so he's not going to be ready really to go for A1. And I think Sexton just has the right tools around him to build and get better. But I do think that Ferrandis, obviously coming off of the season that he had outdoors, is going to have a lot of confidence to build off of and stuff like that. I just don't think Ferrandis is quite there indoors yet that he is outdoors. He's always been a better outdoor guy. I think he will win races this year, and I'll talk about who I think are going to win races this year before the end of the video. But I think Sexton's going to be the one to break through first. And I think that, he and Ferrandis will both win races. I don't see Cianciarulo winning a race this year, but I think those guys will figure it out on a couple weekends and win some races. I do think that Webb still wins a majority of them. That being said, I actually think that the winner this weekend at Anaheim is going to be Ken Roczen. Why? Kenny's always been pretty good at Anaheim. It's where he won his first 450 Supercross race. It's where he dominated the field in 2015 and 2017. And I think had we gone back there in 2020, he probably wins, in 2021, he probably wins there. Yes, Barsha did win in 2020, and, Barsha won again in 2021, but it was at Houston. But you saw how good Roczen was at the opening rounds last year. Through 6 rounds, I think he never missed the podium, always ran up front. He missed the podium at the second round because he was like 4th or 5th or something, right? But then he won 3 of the first 6, finished 2nd in the other races. I mean, he was right at the sharp end of the field. That's why he had the championship lead. He comes out of the gate strong. It's just Kenny's deal. And unless he mentally is trying to flip a switch this year and do something different, I don't see any reason why he won't again come out of the gates firing. So I think Roczen wins this weekend, leaves as the red plate holder. But then, like I said, I think Webb goes to Oakland the weekend after, wins there, and then we're off to the races in a sense. So that's going to be my pick for this weekend. But yeah, what else can I talk about? Let's talk about the veterans a little bit. I don't want to get too deep into kind of this discussion of them, but obviously the veterans like Marvin Muscan, you can kind of say Malcolm Stewart's up there, Dean Wilson, Plessinger coming to KTM, kind of considered a veteran at this point. It is going to be his 4th year in the 450 class. I think a lot of these guys have reasons to believe that they're going to challenge, and I think that probably one of the riders from this group that I'm talking about will step up and actually win races or win a race. I don't know who. If I had to put money on anybody, I would probably say Plessinger is going to be the guy that actually breaks through and wins a race this year. But I think there's too many variables to say for sure that that's going to happen. Do I have a little bit of Mookie fever because he's training with Alden Baker and he's got a 2-year deal and he's feeling a little bit better about himself? Sure, but Malcolm's also getting up there in age. He's actually, I think, older than Dylan Ferrandis, or they're just about the same age. So Mookie's been around for a while. He's been in this 450 class for a while. He has kind of slowly got the train rolling these last couple of years, enough to get a factory ride for 2 years basically. But I still don't think that the Alden connection and all this is going to be the thing that makes or breaks it. I think he could do great at like a Glendale where the whoops are going to be long, and Malcolm's always been tremendous in the whoops. But I would say Plessinger wins probably a race from that group. Marvin runs up front fairly consistently, gets in the mix. I think Jason Anderson's going to be better than people are giving him credit for. I think Anderson won't win a race, but I think he will end up on the podium a fair decent amount. Maybe I'll give Anderson 4 or 5 podiums in 2022. I think the Kawasaki, the reinventing himself, the fresh start, all that stuff is going to gel pretty well for him. So I'm excited to see how that goes, just because I think that like this is going to be like a really weird moment in Eli Tomac's career to see how someone does on the bike and the team that he just left behind. Because Tomac said that he left Kawasaki basically for like performance reasons. Like he felt like he could do more with the Yamaha. Could he have maybe made more money with Yamaha? Probably, and I think that probably factors into it a little bit. But he said straight up that he wanted to go to Yamaha because he felt that was what was going to give him the best chance at winning at this stage in his career. So kind of, gnarly sentiments for someone who did so much for Kawasaki and won so much with that brand. But, if Anderson comes in and is just as good or consistent or whatever you want to call it on the Cowie, I feel like some people are going to look at Tomac and be like, so, like, what was it about that bike and team that didn't work with you, I guess, That being said, I think that the switch to Yamaha was actually the right move for Eli, and I do think that, like I said, he's going to come out a little bit stronger this year than he has in the past, well, basically the past year of Supercross racing, but yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see that dynamic. How does Jason do on the Cowie compared to what we saw out of Tomac, and is this fresh start that Anderson talks about kind of everything that he wants it to be out of this move? He wasn't really happy anymore at Husky. Was pretty open about it, but it was also a team that he spent his entire career at. It started as Rockstar Suzuki, went to Rockstar KTM, then went to Rockstar Husky, so he's been with that team since his pro debut. And yeah, it's just kind of crazy that he was with that team for that long and it kind of ended as sour as it did, I guess. But it's just sometimes the way the cookie crumbles, and definitely curious to see how he does. So that is my look at the veterans a little bit. Like I said, I'm excited for Plessinger to be on this KTM. I think he's going to win a race. I think that Sexton and Ferrandis will win races. And then I think the top 3 guys will win races. The Webb, Tomac, Roczen trio. And those are going to be my 6 guys that I think are going to win races this year. I think some people might be upset with that because you might be a fan of Anderson, you might be a fan of Cianciarulo, you might be a fan of Malcolm Stewart, and you might think that this is the year that all those guys break through and suddenly we have 12 different winners. But the reality is we don't often get that. It's pretty rare that we get a season with a myriad of different winners. Like the last time that it really truly happened, I guess, was 2011. But even that, I think there was only 5 or 6 winners that year too. So to get 6 winners this year that I'm saying is going to happen, at least in my opinion, would be kind of astronomical. It would be something that would be a little bit unheard of to get 17 rounds and 6 different winners. But, we'll see. I haven't talked about Justin Barcia yet. I don't know why I skipped over him. But, Barcia, he, again, kind of like a lot of other people I talked about so far, getting up there a little bit in age, like sneakily so. Like he's been in the 450 class for almost a decade now. This is going to be his 10th full year racing in the 450 class. So you kind of almost forget how long Barcia's been around, but he's been around a while. And that burnout, starts to come around year 10, year 11 of the 450 class that we normally see, where someone like Reed, he started faltering around year 10, year 11 of his career. Like, his first full year on a 250, for example, or the premier class was 2003. And then, Reed won races in 2013, but he wasn't really as elite as he was in 12. And then in 2014, again, good, but not necessarily like as good as we could see Chad be. And then the last time he won a race was 2015. So you look at it like, there's a decade, give or take a year or two, of him being on the premier class, and that's when, it started to kind of fall off a little bit. Barcia going into year 10 in this class, maybe he does still have, an extra couple years where he's going to be race winning speed or running up front pace, but I do see the downfall coming a little bit for Barcia soon. That being said, I got a chance to talk to him as well this offseason. He sung the praises of how good his offseason was, said it was one of his best offseasons of his career. He's training with Will Hahn now, which he says he really enjoys and feels like he's getting a lot out of it. And then he's the sole rider that the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas team has to focus on over there. So for him, it's kind of the ideal scenario at this stage of his career because he is the sole focus. He is someone that can go out there and just have all the commitment of the team behind him and kind of focus on himself. And it seems like it paid off pretty well last year. Yes, he didn't win beyond the first round, but was fourth in points, battled up front. And you take away like the Vince Freeze incident where he got cross-jumped, Barsha's battling all the way till the end of the championship for third in the championship, which I think a lot of people don't really remember or don't realize, how good he was in terms of just like a consistent basis and speed throughout the year. So, I'm not trying to be like down on Barsha or anything like that, but I don't think that they're going to do necessarily as well as they think. But that being said, I could be dead wrong, and I feel like I'm already thinking of how when I do this recap of Anaheim 1 next week that I'll be looking back to this idiot comment and he'll have won 4 in a row and be holding the red plate, leaving Anaheim 1. But who knows? We'll see. What else can I talk about? Anybody else in this mix? Good to have Justin Hill back at the races. That's going to be cool. His brother Josh Hill is going to fill in for Benny Bloss, who just got hurt a couple weeks ago at Team Tedder. Justin Hill is on the Partzilla PRMX Kawasaki team. So kind of, a team trying to get a little bit more established, goes out and gets a pretty big name guy like Justin Hill. But, he spent basically a whole year away from the sport, so it'll be really curious to see how he does. Justin Brayton will be good. He'll be on the Moto Concepts team again, so I think that's going to be a good match. Then you got the whole Rocky Mountain ATV MC KTM team of Shane McElrath, Joey Savacci, and Max Anstey. I think Savacci is like kind of one of those guys that really is sneakily underrated, and then he'll suddenly he'll finish 6th this weekend, and everyone will be like, wow, did you guys see like Joey Savacci just straight up taking it to Jason Anderson for 6th this weekend? That was kind of nuts. Like I didn't expect to see him up there, but that's the type of talent that Joey possesses. So I actually see him being a little bit better this year, maybe knocking on the door for some top 5s. If the stars align, maybe landing on the box, but we'll see. And then, to have Shane McElrath as a teammate, McElrath is going to be pretty strong. He's always been fast, but, consistency has been a bit of a question mark for Shane. So we'll see how he does. And then Anstey going to be a little bit better on that team as well. It was kind of like a trade for Anstey because he goes to the Rocky Mountain KTM team, which Justin Bogle leaves, and Bogle then goes to the Twisted Tea HEP Suzuki team that Anstey left. So it was a little bit like of a trade in that sense. But I think it was actually the best move for both riders. I do think that Anstey will be better with Rocky Mountain, and I think Bogle will be better with HEP. Bogle's been a proven winner on that Suzuki before. It's changed a little bit since he last rode that bike, but again, another person that I got a chance to talk to this offseason, he seems pretty high on his chances on that bike and what he feels with the comfort level of the Suzuki. And then, for Anstey, he rode Factory Husqvarna's in Europe. He rode for the Sandy Construct KTM team over there. So that chassis and that frame and everything like that is something he's maybe a little bit more comfortable with. Not so in Supercross, obviously, because he didn't really test or ride it when he was in the GPs over there. But just to go back to a familiar base, more or less, is going to be something that I feel like he'll gel with. And, I expect to see Anstey doing quite well this year. And then there's just a whole myriad of other things beyond that. There's privateers that are going to be a lot of fun to watch. A-Ray and Clayson, for example, on the SGB Honda team. Just so many more guys that it's going to be just great to be back at the races and watch them do battle again. Cool to actually, be back to like a normal schedule too. Like last year with the triple headers and everything like that, it still didn't feel like a straight up Supercross season. So 17 rounds, 18 weeks, going to be a complete blast. So ready for it. Going to go to a lot of races this year. It's going to be a little bit difficult because they're still kind of mandating some work pods and stuff in the pit, so I can't say that I'll be able to meet up with anybody for sure. But, if I end up going to a round nearby you guys are going to the races this year, let me know. Be sure to reach out, and it'd be cool to at least say hey and talk with you a little bit, talk some moto. whatever it may be. But yeah, that's just kind of my preview on the 2022 Supercross season, the 450 class. I did a 250 class preview last year, but I think I'm actually going to skip it this year because there's not much point without the coast being fully announced yet. Like, yes, we know that Colt Nichols is racing West and Jet Lawrence is racing West and a couple other guys like that, but I just don't feel like we know for sure everybody that's lining up, so I'm just going to wait till after the opening round, do my usual recap, and get back to it. So hopefully you guys enjoy having these back on the channel. Appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this video. And yeah, get down in the comment section below. Any thoughts or opinions to add that maybe I didn't talk about, I'd love to discuss further. Let me know your guys' title picks. Let me know your guys' A1 picks. All the above over there. Always love bench racing and chatting more moto with you guys. And gonna be a complete blast of a season. Can't wait to get it started. January 8th this weekend at Angel Stadium in Anaheim, California. We're going racing again, folks. Supercross is back. 2022 is here, and cannot wait to get it started. So thanks, guys, for tuning in and watch another video here on Start Your Systems. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.